Hey, it's Emma Chamberlain. I designed these new glasses for Warby Parker, and I basically can't take them off. Like, I'm showering in them and sleeping in them. They're just that good. Go see them all at warbyparker.com. And you know what? Have a good day too. Okay? All right? Bye.
Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined by Josh Bowe. We are both editors over at MavsMoneyball.com. We are coming to you a little after 11 o'clock on Tuesday, December 10th. The Dallas Mavericks just fell in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. Their 7-game win streak coming skidding to a halt, losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder 118-104. Josh, how are you?
Doing okay. Not a super fun game to watch for a variety of reasons that we are going to get into, but haven't talked to you in a while because I know I was off Saturday and then they got 2 days off. So crappy that I have to come back. Maybe I'm the jinx. I jinxed it by coming back and doing the podcast so they lost, but I don't know if I'm just gonna forewarn. I'm not gonna get like doom and gloomy on this podcast. Obviously, like it's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. But there's just not gonna be a lot of nice things to say about this game. It was not a good game.
Nope. And if you're the kind of fan that is quite, and this is a reasonable way to be, if you're like, look, it's one game out of 82, see you out there next time. I get it. Just there was a level of expectation around this game because the NBA has assigned value to it. The players have determined that it does have value. They have turned something that was ostensibly, and granted, all this it's sports. It's all meaningless. Eat at Arby's, but they assign value to a thing, and so we all got excited about it. And the Mavericks really just threw up an egg, and we're going to need to break it down, and it's not going to be all that fun. It's just not going to be fun. And so this is, our after losses, our people tend to just skip stuff. I get it.
Yeah.
So the short story of this game is the Mavericks started out pretty early. They got up to a 9-2 lead, but then it became a game of runs. The first half Mavericks were as sloppy and stupid of a basketball team as we've seen them roll out on the floor collectively this season. Now, keep in mind, they've only lost 9 games, and of those 9 games prior to tonight, they've lost 8 of those games by a combined 39 points. So they've actually played really well for most of the season. So it's not some big insult to be like, that was a very bad half of basketball. They had 11 turnovers in the first half, and half of which were quite literally the Mavericks looking at a Thunder player and passing it to them. Luka, of all people, was short on long passes to kick to guys running out, and you just don't see that. And there were things that happened in this game tonight which we've just not seen a lot of. And the fact that it came on national television, and the only game that was being broadcast at that time of night, is it reminds me of things that we saw in the early parts of last season where the Mavericks were just underperforming. And I hate that. I hate it because, the people who are in your life that don't like the Mavericks, that don't like Luka, that don't like, Jason Kidd, whatever, will use a game like that as a reason to tell you why the Mavericks suck. And the other 15 wins that they've had this season just sort of get thrown out the window when a game like this one happens. The first half was ugly. And the Mavericks yet were still only down by 3. The Thunder scored so many points off of turnovers. It was crazy. The The second half, and then the second half, the Mavericks came out and I want to table this. I want to table my thought here. The second half, the Mavericks came out and played very poor.
Yes.
They finally found life for about 3 minutes in the in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Cut the Thunder lead, which was up to 20, down to 10 in about 5 possessions, because the Thunder, which had effectively double teamed Luka for much of the game, Luka found some openings and the Mavericks made some shots, and so the game got down to 10, got down to 8, and then the Thunder blew the lead up again. And then the Mavericks were done. That's kind of the game. So.
Yeah, it's a bizarre, like, Kirk, if I told you the Mavericks outshot the Thunder from the field overall, percentage-wise, outshot the Thunder percentage-wise on threes, and then they made 7 more free throws. If I told you that before the game, they would have a higher field goal percentage, a higher 3-point field goal percentage, and they would additionally make 7 more free throws. You'd be like, okay, they probably won, and they lost by 14. So, the game was literally lost 2 reasons: turnovers and threes. The Thunder made 20 3-pointers. They shot 50. They got them up, and the Mavericks, you look at the team numbers, and it was 19 to 14, turnovers, which 19 is a lot. And that's starting to become an issue with these Mavericks, where it didn't used to be an issue. But like 5 more turnovers doesn't feel like a lot. The problem is those turnovers were almost all catastrophic turnovers.
Catastrophic live ball turnovers.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing about playing against the Thunder is they lead the NBA in steals. They lead the NBA in deflections. So you bake in, even if you play a relatively clean game, they're going to get you, right? Like, you have to come in with an expectation like, hey, this team is going to turn us over a little bit. They're really good at it. So let's control what we can control, because obviously they're going to have some moments where they get the ball and they're going to get transition. And the Mavericks had some inexplicable decision making in this game. Luka had 2 awful turnovers going for the full court.
See, I don't hate those. I don't hate touchdown pass turnovers, because we bitch when Luka doesn't push the ball or kick it ahead, and then when he does kick it ahead and their turnovers, we bitch. He's kind of screwed either way in that regard. The challenge with those touchdown passes is, for a person who is as pinpoint accurate as Luka, those were bad.
Yeah, I mean, they were bad. I guess I don't knock the attempt, mate, but I mean, they were just bad. They had no chance. Like when he threw it, the way we watch on TV, we don't see when he's throwing the ball. We don't see who he's throwing it to until the ball gets there, and the camera has to follow it. Yep. And the camera gets there, and it's not like it was there and the Thunder made a great play. They were just bad pass. They were just really bad passes. And Grimes had some inexplicable ones. Kyrie had a couple that were pretty bad. It was just, that was the thing. It wasn't like the Mavericks were being aggressive and the Thunder just like stripped them. And it was like bad passes that would have been resulted in turnovers no matter who they were playing against is kind of more my point. And when you do that, then you're done. Like, you're done against this Thunder team. You just can't have that many self-inflicted wounds when you know that on top of the self-inflicted wounds, the Thunder are just going to take the ball away from you anyway a certain amount of times because they're that good of a defense.
They're that good. They're really good defensively.
Yeah.
And I there was a lot of, and this was well beyond Luka, there was a lot of Mavs.
It was team wide. Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, guys, like, I'm sorry. Like, hold on to the ball. Like, Najee at one point just like lost the ball on the dribble and he's bitching about getting bumped. And it's like, I'm sorry, buddy. Hold on to the ball. Sorry.
Grimes had a turnover where he threw it to like no one.
Grimes had a drunk quarter. His first quarter is to me one of the hallmarks of why this game was bad, because he was catastrophically awful in that first quarter.
Yep. Yeah. It was not great. And the Thunder felt like the Thunder paid back the Mavericks for the playoff series for all the missed three, because they did not shoot well in that playoff series. And it was like, all right, they got it out of their system in this game. That's for sure. Because
Some of the guys just look great, man. I mean, and
that's going to happen against a team that likes to shoot threes. That is a good 3-point shooting team.
They play a more, I don't want to say they play similar to the Celtics, but they have a better, in my opinion, a better on-ball focal point in SGA than anybody that the Celtics have, with a less competent shooting structure surrounding SGA. That's not to say that the Thunder aren't competent. It's that the Celtics are all universe with the guys that they have shooting the ball. But you get up 50 shots from three, and some of them, if they're even if they're coming from less, a Lou Dort hitting 3 of 7, you're fine with it. I mean, SGA was 5 of 9 from three. That dude never takes 9 3-pointers. Caruso even got up 6 shots. Isaiah Joe getting up his buckets. It's just it's a math game, and the Mavericks lost it. And I how far into the show are we now? We're about 10 minutes into the show. I want to talk about at least the first part of why I think the Mavericks lost this game. And I said it at the end of the last podcast where Sudarshan, myself, and who else was with us? Why is my brain breaking? Michael was with us. And I questioned out loud, and of course got quasi-aggregated for it, whether organizationally the Mavericks had an interest in winning the game. And of course, you put something like that on Twitter and people just start yelling at you because it's like, oh, they always want to win. Absolutely. The Mavericks always want to win. But are they going to give away the farm to win? Are they going to put everything? Is Kidd going to put everything on the line to win this game? And PJ didn't play, and I bet if this is a playoff game, PJ plays, whether he's sick or not. Maybe not Maxey. And also, second, Dallas Mavericks, can we please have everybody wash our hands? Can we
get our flu shots?
Can we get our flu shots? Can we get the training staff to wipe everything down with Lysol spray and wipes? Because guys, viruses linger on surfaces. I don't know if you know this. When my child had what's called hand, foot, and mouth disease, you clean off every surface every day, sometimes repeatedly, because the virus is just so easy to swap around. The fact that every single player on this team but Luka has been sick is fucking crazy to me. Never mind. But that is what it is. Bad luck. Maybe they'll figure it out the second half of the year. But the Mavericks came out to me. This is what I saw, and I'm very curious to see what you saw. They came out with the intention of running their basic sets, their basic offense, and if the shots went down and they put away the Thunder, great. If they didn't, they weren't going to show anything interesting. And to me, up until about maybe the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, I didn't see the Mavericks do a single interesting thing this game outside of maybe a few out of timeout possessions and they're pretty good out of timeouts. What am I crazy for this take?
Yeah, no, I mean, and it felt like it kind of bled through everything. Like it was a very vanilla game plan,
yes,
attached to a very vanilla effort. It was
Talk
almost
about this, please.
Yeah, I mean, it was very low intensity effort game, and I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg scenario. Does the game plan beget the effort, or is it vice versa? What? I don't know what is spurring the other. But it did not look like a team that was just this was technically like an elimination game in a basketball tournament, and the vibe and the body language and the intensity that I saw from the team on the floor did not reflect that this was a win or go home type game. Not at all. I mean, it was very much a going through the motions. That's why I talked about some of that inexplicable decision making that led to some of the really bad turnovers on top of, there's no such thing as a good turnover, but the ones where the Thunder earned them, there are a lot of unforced turnovers. The rebounding was pretty bad early on, and especially against the Thunder. I know they have Isaiah Hartenstein back, who they didn't have in the first matchup, and he made a load of difference. I mean, holy crap, the Thunder with a legitimate center is kind of terrifying when you consider how much they've made do without one, and relying on Chet Holmgren to basically play the 5 full time last season. To have a guy that's not only okay, but is really good, a really good center, and Hartenstein, he fits this team like a glove, and he played really well. But even then, the Mavericks are mostly bigger than the Thunder's perimeter players, and they still they didn't get bullied. I don't know if they got bullied on the boards, but the Mavericks just didn't attack.
The Mavericks got the Mavericks.
I
The
know.
glass is something I am fucking
Daniel
furious
Gafford had
about.
2 rebounds in 16 minutes.
You cannot get out rebounded by the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I know.
The Oklahoma City Thunder, that is their, if they have a weak point, it is rebounding. And the Mavericks got crushed on the board, offensive board.
Yeah, they're last in rebounding, this Oklahoma City.
Like,
and
this
it's
is-
almost by design. Like, I don't think they care. Like, I think it's
they
a
don't.
math thing again. Like, they think
Yeah, they're fine.
it's not important. Yeah, they're fine with it. But to lose that category so decisively to a team that isn't trying to win it that's reflective of the effort level I think that was given.
Yeah.
And again, is it the game plan? Did they know that this was a vanilla game, so they gave vanilla effort? Also, and even the local broadcast has brought this up a lot, and the national broadcast actually brought it up tonight. The travel, like, did the injuries, did the travel, and then the game plan, like,
Sure.
did that all combine, and did it just put in their heads, okay, this is just not, no PJ, no Maxi, we're not rolling out, a playoff level game plan, and we're all tired as hell because we've gone from the West Coast to the East Coast to Canada to Texas, back to the West Coast, back to they've done this crazy travel schedule for 2 weeks, like. It just felt like it was a culmination of everything. Like, it didn't look like a team that wanted to be there. And I'm not trying to say that as like, how dare they? And the season's falling apart. It just looked like a natural inflection of all this crap that they've been able to just push off, and they got that 7-game win streak. Well, now they're playing against one of the best 3 teams in the NBA, best 2 teams.
Right.
It's they couldn't keep pushing it aside against a team that's this good.
Losing to the potentially let's just call them the second best team in the NBA, because I think that's what they are record wise. There's no shame in that. I just think if you're frustrated with how they performed tonight, you have reasons.
Yeah,
I'm not kicking and screaming and yelling. If anything, I'm just mad at people telling me I'm a motherfucker and what somebody called me a fat midget, which was really funny. Some of the
you are many things, but you're not short.
Right. And so it's just, and I don't know, but it's like, it's for having these positions, which are, I mean, so I do say wild shit, but like the assumption that the Mavericks care more about the NBA title than the NBA Cup is not a wild take. It's just not. Like the fact that Luka cares more about the title than the MVP or something like that is not a wild take. And we're reaching an inflection point in the season, which is why Jason Gallagher and I had that podcast yesterday. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it. Just kind of,
I did, by the way. I wanted to shout it out. It was great. It was that was like a great listen. I thought.
I hope so. I hoped we were fair to anybody, every single person's point of view, from the anti Jokic people to the staunchest Luka supporters to people that are Mavs fans first. Like, I want to value everybody's point of view in this regard, but I don't know. Tonight's game was a frustrating game that I think once it was clear the Mavericks were making the cup, I had a fear that was lingering in the back of my mind the whole time, and I hated that it went down very similarly to what I thought. Okay, we got to take care of some business here. So, guys, as you all know, we have a sponsor. Sponsor is called Body Spec, and what Body Spec does is they provide what are known as DEXA scans. It's a full body composition scan. They'll help you understand what's going on with your body. If you're a person with a desk job like Josh and I, whether you're an athlete or more, you have a job that's more active, or if you're just really thinking about getting back into shape, a DEXA scan is a great way to get started. If you'll head into the show notes and click the Body Spec link, you'll see what I'm talking about. We have a holiday special promo code right now, PODMAVS45 in all caps. It'll get you $15 off your first single scan. It's a great idea for a gift, and it's really a great idea for yourself. Josh and I have both now had one, and it's gotten us some real information that's really quite like obnoxiously usable. Like, it's just sort of lived in my brain. And we're going to take a second here and actually talk about our experience with this, which is it's the business side of this. So I appreciate you sticking with this. Josh, tell me a little bit about your experience going and getting a scan.
Yeah. So I think the difference is you went to the brick and mortar, like, flagship store. I did because you live relatively close enough, or you just felt like you wanted? I think you said you
I
just
just
wanted
didn't
to
want
see
to
it.
work that afternoon. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to drive. I'm going to drive to Love Field. Like it's right all the way down there.
Yeah.
And found the place, walked in,
Yeah.
laid on a table and got a scan.
Yep. And I did the same thing, but in a van in a parking lot outside of a shopping mall, which sounds kind of weird. And
No, you have to tell us what your mother said, because
my God.
I think it's the
are our sponsors going to hate us? Hate
no,
me?
because it is like it's getting over the hump with this. It's a bit of an odd thing.
So we're a 1-car family right now because at the time, me and my wife both worked from home, and we were like, hey, why do we need 2 cars? And then my wife now has a job where she's in office. So when she's at work, I don't have a car. So I needed to get this done because on the weekends, it's just impossible. There's just not enough time. So, felt like I was 15, called my mom and was like, can I have a ride? And, she helped me out. My mom is a boomer from the Bronx, New York, Italian American. So, and she fits every single a stereotype that you can imagine for that. And so we're pulling up, and she's like, where is this place? Because she's kind of driving towards like the store, like the shopping center, because she thinks it's in the store. I'm like, no, it's that van in the parking lot. And just
and it's a labeled van, right?
Yeah, no, it's very clear. There's nothing shady about it. But my mom just was like, what the F is this? Is this a scam? I'm gonna, do I need to call the cops? Was another thing she said. When I got done, she went, oh, thank God you're done. I was gonna call the cops. I had no idea what was going on in there, even though I told her repeatedly what was happening.
How long did it take?
It took about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's about as long as it took you when you
about
laid
me,
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy. You just lay there. I mean, I closed my the person.
I kind of nodded off.
Yeah, the person that was there was talking to me, and I talked back. He was very polite, but I just, I took a little siesta, just closed my eyes and relaxed. Very easy. I got there, in and out. Got my results, I think, almost before I got back home. Like, I want to say I got my results in an email before I got back home.
Yeah.
Had some instant results. Like, he told me a couple of things right when it was done. And then he was like, your full results will be sent a little bit later. And it was painless. Like, I just walked up, are you Josh? Yes. Step into my van.
Yep.
Okay. And just lay down on this padded long bench kind of thing. And it was comfortable. It was painless. And then I'm on my way. It probably took, including driving there and back, it took like 15, 20 minutes out of my day. So it was very easy.
So we actually had a listener, a guy call into Mavs Party who had done one of these, and he was just like, yeah, it's like, they're great. And they are great insofar as like providing you a good baseline. So it's like, everybody on this show who listens regularly knows that I work out like a fiend.
You do.
But I also eat like an idiot because I want to. And so for the past several years, I've worked on getting myself in better shape, and I am in better shape. But what this has kind of informed me is that and I knew this, but it's one thing to see. It's one thing to know it. It's another thing to read the information about it. It's like, all right, you need to make some changes, meaning me. And I will say, depending on how you process information, there's something really stark in just seeing it and saying, okay, all right, these are things these are things that I can try to do differently. And what I would recommend to any one of our listeners is, if you're thinking about making that sort of lifestyle change and just getting yourself together, go get a try. It's not very expensive. The thing about this sort of health stuff, guys, is you pay for it now or you pay for it later.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm just going to plug it one more time. It's Body Spec. And there's a link in the show notes and in the video notes. And we really appreciate you guys taking the second just to listen to us talk about this.
Yeah. And one more thing, the guy, my attendant said, since it is December and we are getting close to New Year's resolution time.
Yes.
Apparently, if you want to go get it done now, because they will be booked up a lot in January.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get one again, but it's like, I'm going through the holiday stuff, and it's just like I took one.
You really want to know after you eat holiday food?
I took one before eating Thanksgiving. It's like an idiot. Anyways, all right. So we're gonna plug in some commercials here for Blue Wire, and then we'll be right back. Thanks so much for letting us talk to you guys about this.
If you're like me, you're looking for an edge for sports betting. So when I heard Masterclass had a new class on beating the odds, taught by the pros who have made millions, I had to check it out. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 of the world's best. For just $10 a month, an annual membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every instructor. And you can access Masterclass on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even in audio mode. Novice bettors are at a huge disadvantage, with most losing early and fast. Before, the knowledge needed to level up was hard to come by. Now there's Masterclass, and the classes really make a difference. 88% of members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. I use it, and you should too. Plus, every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So don't wait another moment to start your learning journey with Masterclass. And Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. Head over to masterclass.com/Blue Wire for their current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/Blue Wire. That's masterclass.com/Blue Wire. And remember, all sports betting involves risk, and you're responsible for complying with all sports betting laws in your jurisdiction.
This episode is brought to you by Disney Plus. Game on, because ESPN Plus content is available on Disney Plus. You can watch your favorites from Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus together like never before. With ESPN Plus, unwrap a full day of NBA action on Christmas Day. Tip off the festivities with the Spurs and Knicks, followed by the Mavs and Timberwolves. Then a clash between the Lakers and Warriors, followed by the 76ers and Celtics. And finally, the Nuggets face off against the Suns, all streaming December 25th. Then with Hulu, watch the terrifying sci-fi thriller Alien Romulus, where a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the ultimate horror. And on Disney Plus, follow the adventures of 4 kids across the galaxy as they meet unlikely allies and enemies in Star Wars: Skeleton Crew, starring Jude Law. All of these and more now streaming and available with a bundle subscription. Visit disneyplus.com for details. Terms apply.
Okay, we're back. So there are some interesting things to take away from this. And I think that the thing that made me laugh the hardest is the person I've been the most annoyed by making probably the biggest difference to the Mavericks energy level. And that was Olivier Maxence-Prosper, who played 12 minutes. He was a +4, one of the few Mavericks with a plus. He's the only Maverick with a plus rating now that I'm looking through it. He hit 2 of 2 3-point shots and provided the kind of insane energy that we used to see Josh Green inject into games sometimes. And the Mavericks needed it. And I felt like Kid pulled him almost immediately after his second three. Like I was dying where I'm sitting here making all these proclamations about how I think Kid wants to put things in his war chest to where he can only break them out later. Maxey hits a 3. The Mavericks make a run and Maxey gets pulled right out of the game. Max, sorry, not Maxey. What's wrong with me? What did you think about his play?
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, he hit 2 threes in a regular season NBA game, which I'm not gonna look at his numbers, but I gotta assume that's the first time he's ever done that. Is hit multiple threes in a regular season NBA game. So that was great, and it was just like because they need no Maxey, no PJ. That's it. They don't have another forward that can come off the bench. Like it's Powell who plays mostly center, and that's it. Kessler Edwards, 2-way guy. Markieff Morris, who's your end of the bench. Veteran voice. Like he doesn't play. So like that. That's it. So like with both of they needed someone to fill the gap, and he did. And you got to commend him for it. And hopefully, if PJ and Maxey come back, I don't know if this is a path to him getting more minutes, but hopefully he gets rewarded some, I want to see this earn him another chance. And then if he plays poorly, you yank him and you do what you got to do. But I hope he has an ability to follow up on this, regardless of the health of PJ and Maxey.
I think they have to.
They got to try to build on it because
they have to, because Maxi Kleber is the Mavericks' unreliable narrator. He is very valuable to what the Mavericks do, but his body, he is the bionic man at this point. And I don't think it's fair to put that kind of pressure on a guy who just can't apparently physically do it enough. So Maxey being useful would be extraordinarily important to the Mavericks, like just season long ability to make plays and withstand stuff.
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. Kirk, did you read Maxey Prosper in this game made as many threes as Maxey has made on the season? I'm not joking.
Sounds about right. Yeah, no, not a shock.
Maxey has 2 threes. He's 2 of 9 from 3 this season, in 238 minutes.
And so Max hit 2 of them. That's incredible.
Yes,
it's really incredible.
So yeah, he was definitely the only, him and maybe Clay were like the only bright spots of this game. Yeah, and Najee was pretty good as well. Who hilariously he can't stop missing 3-pointers after he couldn't throw one if he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And then he makes that crazy running 3-pointer at the end of the shot clock. And since then he's shooting like 50% from 3 in like 6 games, which
just bananas.
I know. Sports is weird.
I do want to point out something I did like. So somebody I think it was Fresh Prince on it. Somebody earlier was talking about, or Andrea in the chat said, Luka off ball. That was good. But Luka off ball in the fourth quarter had Luka involved actions. And that's the big difference in the thing that the Mavericks have to figure out leverage points and get some more usage out of that without showing all their cards. Because like we saw Luka as a honest to God screener with role situations. And we've been clamoring for that for 7 years. And I don't think we've rarely seen it. Like
when he screens, it's usually just to help set up a mismatch, like screens for Kyrie so that Kyrie can get a worse defender on him, or a smaller defender, bigger, whatever it is. Like usually his screening is more purposeful for just setting up isolation mismatches for Kyrie to go bum hunting. We don't see a lot of him rolling into space and making a pass, but he did that to Lively for that alley-oop attempt, and unfortunately Lively got kind of hacked on his way up to try to catch that pass.
And the pass is a little bit off, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
But that's the sort of stuff you see Golden State in their heyday doing with Draymond all the time.
Right.
And it has vexed us for years that the Mavericks either don't do it, don't ask Luka to do it, don't put themselves in the position to do it. And I think in the years past, it's because they haven't had the ball handling. So I think it's okay.
You can't move him off ball because who's gonna run the screen for him to set the screen?
Because up until that point, Luka was essentially getting face guarded by Lou Dort. He was 1 of 9 at one point in the game. He finished 5 of 15. Yeah.
Yep.
So he hit 4 of his next 6 shots. And
it was a bad game. We can say it was
a bad game, but the things that were happening to Luka in this game, if this were a playoff game, I would expect Jason Kidd to make a bigger deal out of it. Like, I don't want to act like the refs were a part of this game because they weren't. They just weren't. The Mavs got the Thunder were called for more fouls. The Mavs shot more free throws. But the stuff that's happening to Luka off ball is not fucking basketball. It's just not. And Luka's not going to bitch about it. He's not going to say anything post game. But you cannot. There is a clip, and I can play it if I can find it again. Let me just see if I can pull this up here.
I'm sure it's in Slack, right?
It might be.
It's in Slack. I know it is.
Is it?
Yeah, I think our trusted
Matthew was having a great time with this, and it's getting played over and over. I'll just put it in our thing here, and then I'll put it up for everybody to see. Wrong link. I'm really good on the fly. This is why having a producer might actually be helpful at some point. Share screen here. So you watch this, and we'll just pull it up, and let's just maximize it here on the train. So you are not allowed to do that far away from the basket. You're just not. And I don't want to sit there and act like that's the difference in the game, because it wasn't. But if you are face guarding someone with your hands on them, like you're blocking as an offensive lineman, at some point or another, somebody has to make a deal of it. Now, the second thought about this is, hey, Mavericks, why don't you do something different to run Luka off some screens and do anything to get him going? Dallas didn't do that
until that little stretch in the fourth quarter.
Yes. And so to me, that's actually the more important element of this, because you can control what you can control. And the Mavericks opted to not make that a thing. And that's not a criticism in so much as it is like, that's
what happened.
Game plan. That's what happened.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm with you. It didn't look like it looked like, because the Thunder blitzed Luka a lot and put 2 on the ball a lot, which teams have not done to the Mavericks that much, because Luka absolutely destroys it. Right. And it didn't really work. This is one of the first times I feel like that defensive strategy has paid off for a team in a while.
Well, you know why it pays off? Because they actually have the defender quality to be able to cover the ground.
Right.
I mean, it's nice if you have Case and Wallace just hanging as a free safety.
Yeah,
you're playing 4-on-3.
But it looks like they kind of were like, Luka will make the right play out of the double team. Like that was the game. That was the game plan. Not like
he did have some when they cut it
passes.
To 10. When they cut it to 10, he for some reason stopped right after half court and got doubled, and he has the half court line behind him, so there's nowhere for him to go. And he throws like an overhead pass that goes over both of them that basically bullet curves to whoever caught the pass, and then it swung on rotation. Like Luka just does stuff every game that makes you go, fuck.
I know. It's ridiculous. But yeah. It was he didn't have a great game, and the Thunder's defensive game plan was certainly, let's let anyone kill us but Luka. And no one really did. Like the Mavericks made 41% of their threes, but outside of Najee and Clay, Kyrie kind of woke. Like Kyrie had a good game, finished with a good shooting line, but like he was also kind of for about 3 quarters or so, and then he woke up in the fourth. But you look at live, like the big thing for me, like I said online something like, I don't have a lot of big takeaways from this game. The Mavericks just kind of played like ass and lost to a really good team. And someone was like, well, how do you not have takeaway? And it's like, well, it's because like I don't think I saw anything from this game that necessarily like this is troubling. Like it just looked like a team that was disinterested because of whatever various circumstances, injuries, the travel schedule, the game plan, whatever the circumstances were, they just weren't into this game, and that's going to happen. Again, this is only the second time all season they've lost by double-digit points, first time since the second game of the season. So they've gone a really long stretch without a team kind of kicking their ass a little bit, which is commendable, and that's the mark of a good team, is not getting blown out a lot. But the only thing that I would look at this game and be like, and kind of arch my eyebrow and want to I want to see something here, is the ineffectiveness of Lively and Gafford, which was
the
so
stark
because
about Lively. Talk me through this, because Lively finishes with 5 points and 13 boards and 5 assists. So talk to me about why he was ineffective, because I agree.
I think defensively, he did rebound pretty well and he passed pretty well in the pick and roll, but defensively, I did not feel him maybe at all. I think he had 1 block. That was really the only defensive play I noticed him really causing, a severe impact. And the Thunder just like outshot those guys off the floor. Like that was one of the concerns going into the matchup last playoffs, was the Thunder were such a prolific 3-point shooting team. You're like, okay, well, how do Lively and Gafford stay on the floor? And what happened was the Mavericks kind of let their, they were like, well, we'll let Lou Dort shoot threes and we'll let our bigs kind of rampage in the paint. And we're going to win. Well, Lou Dort made his threes but Lively didn't really. The Thunder don't go to the rim a lot, and so if you're playing against a team that's like, we don't really want to score in the paint, like where is Lively's defensive impact going to come from? The Thunder scored 38 points in the paint, and they were fine with that. Like that wasn't necessarily the Mavericks crushing them into a low paint point. Like the Thunder were very much like, we want to drive and kick and shoot threes. And it's like, okay, so where does Lively make his presence known defensively? Because he's still not great on switches, which again, he's a 7-7-1 center. He doesn't have to be like, that shouldn't necessarily be an expectation. But I just noticed in rotations, I saw a lot of Lively running out late to a shooter and just having to cover a lot of ground
This is
And-
stuff I don't understand about the game plan defensively, where it's like, oh, the Mavericks are fine giving up like open threes to good shooters. They took a lot of open shots tonight, man.
They did. Yeah. And it didn't look like guys really knew where they wanted to be. And again, when you've got a team that doesn't want to pressure the rim that much, like I just like where is Lively going to make plays on defense? You know, he's not going to make them out on the perimeter. You know, maybe you trap a little bit more and use Lively's quick feet and you trap and you try to make it up on the back line. But it's hard for this Mavericks team to trap, because do you want to trap when you've got Luka, Clay, and Kyrie behind the trap and force those guys to make a bunch of, you know, long make a bunch of long defensive plays where you got to cross the court a lot? And when Luka and Kyrie have the offensive load that they do, like, do you really want to put extra miles on them by having to like help and rotate behind a behind a trap? Like, I don't think the coaching staff wants that either. So yeah, they're gonna have to figure that out. They're gonna have to look at this game and be like, is this just a shooting variance night, or has OKC done something to us and to our bigs that we need to like readjust and look at this?
I mean, the step number one is the next time I see the next time I see freaking Daniel Gafford in drop against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, like, that needs to not happen ever again. Like, I saw his ass drop like 6 times, and each time it's like a layup. Shai is amazing. Like, a 12-foot to 15-foot jumper is a layup for him. I mean, he was 18 to 23. Like, what?
Yeah, 15 to 23.
15 to 23 from the floor. What are you doing, guys?
I know. And the Thunder only shot 16 shots in the restricted area.
Yeah, and most of them were by him. So it's like, I don't know. I was. And so did they double Shai a lot? Because in the post-game interview, I heard the Ali LaForge or whatever her name is, like, interviewing him and being like, you were seeing a lot of doubles tonight. And like, I don't remember seeing any doubles.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it. I don't remember that being a big part of the game plan.
Like, there were all sorts of switches, and he abused switches. Like, I thought that Lively in particular got his ass kicked, but I don't actually think he was doing anything wrong. I think the SGA is a better player. So
right, you don't necessarily want Lively switch.
Like, there was one where he drove from the left wing across his body and hit one off of like the top of the backboard on a right-handed like kind of scoop layup that was just breathtaking. And it's like, all right.
And this is where no PJ Washington, you really felt that, because
that's true.
He's your most athletic forward. Like, Najee is a good defender. Quentin Grimes, a good defender. Like, they don't have another 6'7" springboard forward on the roster besides PJ. Like, they just don't. That plays a lot of minutes. So you look at the starting lineup, and it's Lively, but then Kyrie, Luka, Clay, Grimes. Grimes is a pretty good defender, but he's 6'4" guard. They just didn't have, the rotations and closeouts just weren't the same without and PJ's a defensive madman. Like, he is someone that you can use to trap, or he is someone you could use to play the back line when Lively is trapping and you feel like you still got the rim covered, or you've got someone that can close out with length and try to bother shooters. They just didn't have that guy tonight. And I think I've been making the case that PJ is an all defense candidate, and the Mavericks defense did not look great tonight when he was not on the floor.
I mean, but even if PJ is in the game,
they still lose.
You take Shea from shooting 15 of 23 to maybe 12 of 23. Like, that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, that's true.
This is where the adjustment element of this came in, because it didn't feel like Dallas. They're just like, okay, we're not going to do anything different. And I hate that, because I would have liked to have won this game. I really would have. Like, I would rather the Mavericks win every game. And so
much better for us.
It's just more fun to talk about. Like, you don't want to talk about like mistakes were made and anything like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. The way they played this game, it was just like, I even said it in Slack. I was like, why? I don't want to watch. Like, when it was the third quarter and they're down 20. And again, they're allowed to lose games. Like, this isn't that. It's the way it didn't feel like they wanted to be there. They wanted to win the game. So it's like, if they don't want to do that, why am I staying up late to talk about them in a game that they didn't really, try to win until, there's 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter or whatever. So it makes it harder to talk about, because what scheme stuff are we talking about tonight? Because they didn't do anything. Like they played a vanilla defense, they played a vanilla offense. Their stars did not have clean games, although one had a much cleaner game than the other. Kyrie was obviously much better than Luka tonight, but Kyrie was still not the force that he can be, and Luka had one of his worst games of the season, and that's the game. Like like I said, the only like tactical thing I would take away from this game or want to look at more is just, did the Thunder figure something out with Lively and Gafford in terms of neutralizing their impact? Because again, those two have been destroying the Thunder for the better part of the last 6 year for the most part. So is this just a flash in the pan in terms of the Thunder got hot from three? Or, is there something here that they can sustain this when these teams, potentially meet again in a playoff series? Yeah, I don't know. You gonna do a live show or?
I'm awake. Why not? We'll
Okay.
let some people get some takes off.
But I don't think I have any more takes. Do you have any more takes?
No. I don't know when the Mavericks play again, and that like fundamentally vexes me because the only way I stay sane during the season is being able to like plan like what's happening when, both with my job, my kids, and everything. And the Mavericks' next game on the schedule is on the 21st, which is just they're going to play again. I don't know how. I do not remember how this stuff works. I really don't.
Yeah, it looks like Tyler in our Slack said if Houston beats Golden State tomorrow night, Mavs will be in Golden State on either the 15th or the 16th. If Golden State wins, Mavs will host the Rockets on either the 15th or the 16th.
Okay. I mean, the Mavericks I think they're ahead.
So they get a couple days.
The Mavericks are at least one game up compared to a lot of teams anyway heading
So
into this.
they're going to get some days off.
Yeah. So, it is.
I mean, that's the silver lining, by the way. They are going to get more days off now because they lost. So they're going to get some rest. Maybe that was all part of the plan, Kirk. They wanted some rest.
Well, it's like last year the Mavericks lost so bad in the early games that they got extra games against Portland and Utah. So now the extra games get to be against Golden State or the Rockets.
Houston,
That's
yeah.
neat. Oh, well. This stuff is what it is. Okay, I'm going to hang out and we'll do a group therapy. Not done one of those in a little bit anyways. I'll post it in the chat right now, and anybody that's welcome to join. And we'll talk and hang out. So, Josh, thank you so much for spending some of your evening with us. I'll let you go edit and because I forgot to post the recap, so I don't even know. David said he was turning that in, so you'll get to have fun.
I'll get it. Don't worry.
Yay. All right. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon, guys. Everybody, we'll be right back. So please go ahead and hang out and go Mavs.
Drinking and driving is a decision that could change your whole world. Things will never be the same if you ever get a DUI. Because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way that your world can be turned upside down. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You can face a life-altering injury or even death, but you're not the only one that can face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive can permanently impact not just your world, but someone else's world as well. Whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.